Some people are still digesting the results of the 2021 Oscars, and I'm...
Welcome! My name is Harry Potter.
Honestly, there are so many what the fuck moments in these films that I could have chosen any moment, and...
Are you my mama? Because I'm ready to suckle a teat.
And I swear that you couldn't even tell the difference. If you're a late millennial, then you probably ended your childhood with a couple of really weird films that came out around 2006 and 2008. Directed and written by Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer.
So continuity wasn't like high on our list of things, but misogyny and violence was.
Right.
But of course the trend started with the scary movie films, which came out a couple of years earlier and were a lot different. And I'm not gonna talk about them today because I was honestly traumatized by the third one. And wouldn't you be traumatized as well if you were 8 or 9 years old and they would just throw at you these kind of scenes in weird adverts as you were just coming back home from school at like 4 o'clock?
The TV is leaking! Cindy? Cindy, something's wrong here!
So now that we're all perfectly traumatized, I want to ask the question, why were these films made? Why? I want to know the reason.
Why? 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 Why?
Who were these films made for? Who's the target audience? And who actually enjoys these films still today? And why did we enjoy them back then?
I'm so hot.
Because sometimes it's just half-naked women dancing everywhere. Other times they're simply just walking around in their underwear.
I think it's the apocalypse! It's Armageddon! I think I just shit myself!
And other times it's just things like this.
Oh dear.
Like honestly, in my entire life, I don't think I've ever seen this much homoeroticism. And I don't even know if it's a joke. As you're watching all of these films, you don't even know if you're supposed to laugh, if it's 100% homophobic, or if it's starting to become a weird and thoughtful deconstruction of the way that we objectify men and women. It seems like the actors themselves at some points, they don't even know what the joke is anymore. So from a first approach, I think it's safe to say that these films were made for prepubescent boys who grew up watching a lot of TV.
Boner alert! Boner alert!
Okay, boys, make it rain!
Why? 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 Why?
Also, is there such a thing as an overdose of the male gaze? Because I think that's exactly what it feels like to watch these films.
Why is she in slow motion?
Honestly, it kind of feels like these films want to give you a boner, but also make you feel really weird about it. And disgusted. Oh my god. Oh shit. I think I got it. This is literally porn. That's what porn makes you feel like, right?
Yes! 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 Yes!
Let's start by date movie going into epic movie, going into Meet the Spartans, going into disaster movie. We can do it. I think we can do it. So let's start with the humor, right? This is the main reason why we used to watch these films, because they were funny. So let's deconstruct the humor and find out why they were funny. Most of the humor is about defying expectation and exaggerating things. Like imagine the scene when one of the orphan is going into the wardrobe and being just smacked by branches one after the other, only to finally arrive in Narnia. The humor is also based on answering questions that for no reason whatsoever you would want to answer.
Oh, so you mean...
Yeah, that's Kura Goat. These are my folks.
Oh.
I think the random kind of humor is definitely the type that works the best when it comes to these films. So it's just things happening for no reason whatsoever and you just being completely surprised by them. There's an incredible amount of fake adverts in these films, and I honestly have no idea why. I mean, I can see why it would be funny, and it's mostly because the writers, they push the jokes so far and so hard that at the end of the day, it feels like a nightmare, and they know that we have to sit there and watch through them.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead.
I just did.
I said head on, bitch. Apply directly to the forehead.
Whatever.
Don't cop an attitude, slut. I said apply head on directly to your goddamn forehead.
Okay.
Honestly, these films, they almost make you regret that it's not possible to skip through sections. If I was able to skip through a lot of sections of these films, I would be so much happier, and the experience would have been a lot more fun.
Fun.
When it comes to the jokes, sometimes they go way too easy. For example, why is it funny as a superhero to be knocked out by a cow? And sometimes they go the completely opposite way and they draw these incredibly complex meta jokes that you don't have even the time to laugh at before they've started another joke. There is a specific moment in Disaster Movie that is incredibly bad. So they start with a wanted joke, where someone asks this guy to curve bullets to kill the super bad teenagers at the back of the party who are stealing the alcohol, right? So that is, I suppose, let's say that is the setup of the joke. The joke doesn't even pay off yet because one of the girls starts getting jealous and they start a wrestling match. Why? I don't really know. But that is not actually reality because that is a dream sequence from the main guy's perspective. And that is funny. How? Nobody knows.
I'm lactating. Moo. Got milk?
A lot of the humor that really works on me is the one that deals with graphic violence that just comes out of nowhere. And that is basically it, because most of the violence and the action sequences in these films, you could basically sum it up to just people being punched in the balls, or kicked in the balls, or kicked in the head and then in the balls. And honestly, I don't even want to show you any of it. Because it happens so often that it would take me years to make a super cut of all these funny jokes. When we think about parody films, the most important things are definitely the references, right? That's when we get to actually make fun of films that we know. We all laugh together knowing that we understand the joke and the context, right?
You have to renounce your wish, Barbara. Wanda. I know how you feel, and you cannot just wish your loved ones back from the...
Oh, I think I can.
The funny thing about that, it's not only when we just get the plain reference, but also when some references are twisted in a completely different way that we did not see coming. And sometimes they do that in these films, and sometimes it's not done at all.
Gaga, 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 gaga. I'm a smart shopper. I got this entire outfit in an alleyway from a Mexico woman.
And then there are a couple of scenes which are actually really, there are a couple of plot points which are actually really well used. For example, at the end of Epic movie, there is a moment when they find the Click remote from the Adam Sandler movie. That is how they managed to win the battle, because the battle is this huge army against 4 people, and if it wasn't for the Click remote and for the jokes, of course, that they have to do, the film would never been able to end in a positive way. And I think that's also why you use these references. And that's a good way of using pop culture references. Another good example comes from Date movie. The 2 main characters are trying out wedding gowns. There is this moment where the tension becomes so high that it literally turns into a Kill Bill parody.
Stay away from me!
And just the pacing of that entire scene works perfectly. And I have no idea why they didn't manage to do that for the entire film. It's actually hilarious that it took me this long to get this point of the video, but let's have a look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, because maybe I'm not a very good judge of character, you know, maybe people really love these films, and the critics must definitely love these films.
Look at you!
So just to give you an idea, Tommy Wiseau's The Room has 23% on Rotten Tomatoes. It still has a higher rating score than all of these films put together.
Chicken, Peter, you just a little chicken. Chip, 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 chip.
And then something I wanted to look at, because maybe you know, like, let's say that the critics are wrong. The critics are wrong. And let's have a look at the experts of the industry. So, the people. Do the people think that these films are good? Let's look at all the different awards that were given to these films. And I will have to read this part because it's very, very long. Carmen Electra won a Worst Supporting Actress Raspberry Award for her performance in Date movie. Jennifer Coolidge was nominated for Most Annoying Fake Female Accent, but overall the film also won Worst Screenplay and Most Painfully Unfunny Comedy. And you think this is bad? This is literally just the start. Epic Movie was nominated for 3 Raspberry Awards, Worst Remake or Ripoff, Carmen Electra for Worst Supporting Actress and Worst Screenplay. 5 Raspberry nominations for Meet the Spartans, which include the Worst Picture, Worst Supporting Actress for Electra. I feel like these people really hate Carmen Electra, and I really don't understand why. I mean, just the fact that she keeps signing on with these films, it means that she enjoys doing whatever she's doing in these films. Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, and Worst Remake / Ripoff. And we're not done. Disaster Movie got 6 Raspberry nominations: Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, Worst Remake Ripoff, Worst Supporting Actress for Kim Kardashian, and this is actually her film debut, and another one for Carmen Electra, but we've been expecting that, so it's nothing new, right? So the films have been regarded by the critics and the audience as some of the worst films ever made in history. And that's exactly why I made the video, isn't it obvious at this point? And now I have a personal message to address to the directors. Are you okay? Do you need a hug? Because this is really bad.
You did it! You make a movie film have happy ending? Not!
I can literally feel myself getting stupider. And it took me this long to arrive to the conclusion that these films are so toxic. Honestly, even if you turn off your brain, this is probably the lowest standard possible for comedy films in the 21st century across all the films ever made. This is the lowest bar. You cannot go lower than this. Honestly, this is not a challenge. Please don't do it.
Oh.
And I mean, and the worst thing is that these films are a bad example of nostalgia for the early 2000s. The jokes are incredibly bad when it comes to referring to the early 2000s, either pop culture icons or adverts or films. This makes me feel guilty about living through that time. And the early 2000s were not that bad.
What will this dog be named? What's something funny, guys? What's something funny? I cannot think of anything. What if I just made random noises? Wait, that worked.
Why do they keep making fun of Britney Spears? What's so funny about Amy Winehouse? That makes no sense. So let's take a break from all the philosophizing that we've been doing in the last 10 minutes or so, and let's play a game that I like to call Can You Imagine? Can you imagine being a little person and being cast as a Oompa Loompa in the fake Charlie and the Chocolate Factory film? Can you imagine being a ginger white person and being replaced by a muscular black man for a stunt action scene? Can you imagine being a middle-aged white hairy man and being replaced by an Asian man for a stunt martial arts scene? Can you believe that Silas, this fucking white weirdo from Epic Movie, is played by Kevin Hart?
Shoot Central Intelligence. I'm shooting my video. While he shoot his video. No, fuck your video. No, you crazy. My fans will beat the fuck out your fans. Yo, fuck your fans. That's right.
Ooh, gay. Ooh.
These two people are the same. Same person. What the fuck? Who thought of this? Do you know that Kevin Hart is uncredited in the film? I think he knows this was a bad idea. He knows. But we'll never make him forget that. Honestly, I feel like these movies at the end of the day are big fuck yous to studio execs. And they just desperately wanted to prove that they could remake blockbuster iconic scenes and cult movies with 1/10 of the budget. And of course that they do it once in a while, and those are actually the best part of these films. For example, Date Movie. Date Movie is definitely one of the most passable attempts at a parody film. Like, for example, in the first 20 minutes, the two main characters are already together and planning to get married and trying to meet each other's parents. Makes sense because rom-coms are really bad and very cliche, and this film works in its favor. There are some sequences from Epic Movie, for example, the arrival to Narnia, and some of the other characters that literally look exactly like the film. And also the Hancock bit in Disaster Movie, that is literally exactly word per word the same film as Hancock.
Wake up, you drunk motherfucker. Get your punk ass up, fly down there and fix that shit.
So okay, let's put this down here, because it's time to give some praise to these films. I know it sounds incredible, but I want to give some praise to Jennifer Coolidge.
Where the f has Jennifer Coolidge been? I love that thing. Thank you, JC. Oh, this is...
Who is always taken as a bit of a joke for the roles that she plays, mostly in like films like American Pie. But honestly, these films, they really showcase how much of a great character actress she is. She really commits to every single role, and when she makes fun of Barbra Streisand in Date Movie, it works really well. Honestly, if you took that scene and you put it in Meet the Parents with Ben Stiller, I would have thought that it was exactly the same movie. I would not have blinked at all. Would have been the same. So well done for Jennifer Coolidge. Another actor that I really want to applaud when it comes to these films, it's Ike Barinholtz. He was a very famous comedic actor and he's been in so many different Hollywood films. But I mainly want to applaud him for what he did in Disaster Movie, where he plays so many different characters wonderfully. He plays the cop, he plays Batman, Hellboy, Beowulf, Wolf, the dude from No Country for Old Men, Prince Caspian, and every single character is funny in a different way. And honestly, kudos to you, man. You're the best part of this entire film. Well done. I think we're done. I think this is definitely the end of the video. I'm kind of glad and I hope that I will never have to watch these films again, and I hope that you don't either, because they're not worth it. Honestly, when you look at parody films, when you look at even offensive comedic films of the 21st century like American Pie, Project X, Superbad, or any of the Judd Apatow films, they might be offensive, yes, but at the end of the day there are still some parts which have aged quite well. There is nothing interesting to look at when it comes to these films. I mean, unless you count everything that I literally just deconstructed during the entire video, of course. I think there is definitely a lot of potential when it comes to parody films, and it's actually incredible that these two dudes were allowed to make so many shitty ones across so many different years. Honestly, if you want to take a positive message from this video, is never let anyone tell you that something is impossible or that no one will be interested in it. Because just the fact that these films exist, I mean, it proves the opposite, right? Having said that, I really hope that you enjoyed watching me suffer through these films. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know in the comments if... No, I'm not gonna do those. Look, I'm literally closing my eyes so that I will not have to watch them.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
Oh.
Oh fuck. Let's make this the most quintessential video about parody films in the 21st century. Let's finish this out. 1, 2, 3, go. The problem with these last two parody films is that honestly they're way too good. And I'm not even being sarcastic. They're honestly shot-for-shot remakes of the films that they're trying to parody. And it's not funny. There are so many examples of that. The first few minutes of Vampire Suck are incredibly accurate. You've got the awkward dad, the teen angst, the music. Her performance is spot on. You could literally pick her out and put her in Twilight and the film would not change at all. She's really good at it. It really shows, like these two films, it really shows that the directors are really getting tired. There are less jokes and it literally feels like they're repeating, they're trying to remake the films shot by shot. If the previous films I talk about were parody comedy films on cocaine, these films here are literally just painful to sit through. There is nothing interesting in them. I mean, you've got really good casting when it comes to the Cullens. They look as creepy as the people from Twilight. Once again, they exaggerate things to make things funny. Maybe these last two films are less offensive than all the other ones, but I don't think it's really a compliment at all.
Filthy and gratuitous TNA coming up.
Feel emotion as the mood changes. Round and round just like the moon's phases. It's the part that keeps the place blazing. Feel the vibe, I like it amazing. We go hard all night long. Party right so it can't be wrong. My team cannot lose. Here to put on a show for you.
The Rotten Tomato scores. are respectively 4% for Vampire Suck and 0% for The Starving Games, which I'm not impressed. The Starving Games is a really bad film, but 0%? Zero? Nobody liked it? No one? No one? Okay. I have one last interesting point to make, and then I will leave you be and go back to your lives. What if these films were made to make money? Was that the reason? Oh my god, did I get it? Can I stop now?
I'm the king of the world!
I'm fucking Matt Damon.
You're fucking Matt Damon?
Well, I'm fucking Hannah Montana.
She's fucking Hannah Montana. Backstage in my closet, fucks me on my parents' bed. After school, at my locker in the car, give her head. I'm also fucking the flavor.
Yeah, boy, she's fucking Flavor Flav, boo. You know what time it is because I'm fucking Judy too.
Yeah, I know, but it's true. Flavor Flav, he fucks me too.
And I swapped with Calvin and he swapped with that dude. Then we're all fucking Hellboy.
So we did it. We finally found out why these films were made. I'm gonna go wash my eyes with soap and drink some bleach. See you next week. Thank you for sticking around. What about Superfast? Fuck no.
Bow and arrow's sort of my thing.
Shut your ass, Hawkeye. You're lucky you even in the Avengers.
Yeah.
And don't you think for one goddamn minute that Marvel is gonna spin off your character. Hawkeye, Cola, the Avenger nobody gives a shit about will definitely not be coming soon to a theater near you. Burn. Burn.
Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you for sticking around until the second post-credit scene. I just wanted to thank you for your patience when you came to this video. It was a really hard video to shoot with a lot of content, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm Patrick, and this is Torn Apart.